Yo, what's up YouTube? It's your boy Coffin back with another video, man. I'm just trying to help you guys find your settings and improve your gameplay, man. I'm just gonna give you guys 3 tips I think right now that are really big. Number one would have to be hold to crouch. Make sure you have this turned on. I didn't have this turned on before. I even have paddles on my controller, and I was getting in those fights, and I was wondering why it was so hard for me to crouch spam and shoot at the same time. It's because I didn't have this on before. Like, it sounds counterintuitive, hold to crouch. You think tapping would be better, especially with paddles, but I guess not. Make sure you turn this on and you'll see how much more easy it is to spam crouch while you're in those gunfights. Number two would have to be FOV. Come to your video page and make sure you turn this up from default at least a little bit. It doesn't have to be maxed out, but that's how I like playing. Just, make sure the higher you go, the enemy targets will be smaller. Just be aware of that. And number three would have to be under UI. You can come here and change the colors of your enemies, the highlight. Usually it's red on default, but you can change it to any color you want. Maybe you see yellow more quicker, or see it more better. Change it to any color you want, really. Maybe you just want to make your game look cooler. You can come in here and change the color of your enemies. You can even change the color of your friendlies. Any color you want. Pretty cool thing. I didn't really know about till I seen other people do it. But yeah, this is where you do that. Maybe that'll help you. But as far as settings go, man, there's this thing called Academy in the main menu. You just click on it. They have tutorial, weapon drills, and training mode. Tutorial, that's just for people that never played the game before, Training mode, you can pretty much load into any map and fight against bots and AIs, and that would be really good practice too. But my favorite's weapon drills. You can come in here and pick any gun you want. Maybe you just want to test out different guns and see how they work, because it's kind of hard to do in an actual game. You can come in here and do that, but I like picking up the BR. That's what you use in ranked, so I'm gonna pick up that. They have 3 different levels, which is 3 different difficulties pretty much. The third one's the hardest, so I'm gonna pick that one. Gives me the best practice. But yeah, that way if you're changing your settings, because a lot of people are running different settings, people are trying to figure out what this and that does. This way you can really just change. I would recommend, changing one thing at a time, and coming in here and actually seeing what it does, because it's kind of hard to tell. Whenever you change your settings and go into an actual game, it's kind of hard to tell and keep track of if something's helping you or not. But yeah, I'm a big fan of firing ranges. They even had one in PUBG. I played that game for a while, and they had a firing range in there, and I'd always be in there all day, man, practicing, warming up and whatnot, changing different things, seeing what it does. This way you can really, take your time and see what it does, see if it helps you. But yeah, it's pretty cool. You'll see the enemies in here, they actually mimic, real player movement really good. They strafe and they crouch, so it's really good practice, I think. It helps with your accuracy. Maybe you just want to come in here and help, with your tracking and shooting and just aiming and whatnot. It's really good practice, I think. But yeah, it gives you 45 seconds. It keeps track of your score at the bottom, so that's a good thing to keep an eye on. Maybe you want to hop in here and start out with whatever settings you got, see what score you get, and then you can change a setting, see if you want to see if it helps you or not, and then you'll see your score jump up, or if it jumps down, then that way that setting's probably no good for you to change. That way you can really see if things help or
Aim
not.
true, Spark.
I'll show you what it does. You just pick up the gun,
Eliminate the targets.
spawn in. Oh, I love this. It's really good practice. But yeah, that's how it works. As far as settings, man, I think they're really personal preference. You don't have to copy anybody's settings, but this is what I'm running. Default. I don't really mess with that stuff. I play with vibration off. That just helps me with my recoil and my accuracy. I mean, some people like playing with it on though. It feels better to them. It doesn't really make that big of a difference, I think, but it just feels smooth to me when it's off. It kind of feels weird at first. Like when I first did it, I turned it off, turned it on, turned it off, turned it on, but then I just fell in love with it off. Just a different feeling. But yeah, make sure you have hold to crouch on, like I said before. That's really important, man. You'll see how much easier it is to spam crouch while you shoot. I didn't have that on before, and I was like, why is it so hard? Like, I didn't understand it, but this really helps, man. I turned off hold to zoom. That's kind of preference. I just like it when I'm sniping. I like toggling. That way I just have to focus on, aiming. But yeah, I didn't mess with anything else in there. I play with acceleration on 1 and 4.5 cents still. You're like, holy crap, that's like turtle speed, but I'll show you how I make up for that. But like I said before, I'm just not a big fan of acceleration, man. It throws off my aim too much for whatever reason, especially when people are strafing like crazy. I just can't stay on track. Like maybe some people can play on 5 and perfectly, play fine, but it's not the case for me. I play better and more accurate on 1, especially just tracking people. I just play better when this is all the way turned down to 1. Like I played PUBG before, like I said, and um, they had acceleration in that game, and every time I turned it up, man, I would just start potatoing and not being able to stay on track as easy. This just allows me to stay more accurate for whatever reason. And I'm a low sense player, so you're like, how do you even turn around or play on that speed? You come down to dead zone, and this is where I kind of make up for my slow sense, my slow excel. I put this all the way down to 0, which the lower you go, the more responsive and the more sensitive your thumbsticks will be, so it kind of makes up for my slow speed. That's why I play on such low dead zones. But that's not the case for everyone. Even on default, you can leave all this stuff on default and still, it still feels really, really good. But whenever I play on default, man, let's just pretend this is the look thumbstick, because the move thumbstick's probably not as important, but let's just say this is the look one. Whenever I play on default, man, I like where my sense is, I like where my acceleration is, and I just can't get my crosshair placement. I can't make those finer adjustments. This is where my dead zone comes into play. As soon as I start turning this down, this allows me to make those finer adjustments. It makes my crosshair more responsive. I can make those adjustments when I'm aiming, when I'm trying to shoot someone for those headshots. The lower I go, the better it feels to me. Whenever I play on default dead zones, it's too tight. I can't, my crosshair won't move where I want it to go. Pretty much, that's how I'll explain it. If you're coming from mouse and key, the best way for me to explain it is pretty much, maybe you're just using a controller and you're trying to figure out what dead zones do. I would call this pretty much your DPI. Like this is kind of like what a DPI does for a mouse. But it's kind of opposite. Like the lower you go dead zone, the more sensitive your thumbsticks will be, your controller. The higher you go, the higher, the tighter, the tighter your thumbsticks will feel. Maybe you like your sensitivity and your acceleration where it's at, but you feel like you're still you can't keep on track. Maybe your accuracy is still bad, and you feel like something's too loose, like you just can't stay on track. I would even recommend turning up your dead zones. That will tighten up your aim, tighten up your thumbstick. That way maybe that'll help you stay on track more. Because a lot of people say just turn this down, turn your dead zones down, but maybe you're having a hard time keeping accurate. I would recommend turning up your dead zone. That might help you. You don't have to always turn down your dead zones. That's just if you're having you want things more accurate. Mess with your dead zones. That's definitely where it comes into play for me. Max input thresholds. I feel like it's more responsive on 0s. I could be wrong because a lot of people have different opinions on this, but let me know what you guys think about it in the comments, what you guys are using on max input. I just think it's more responsive on 0. That's why I got them on 0, and I'm shooting better on 0 for whatever reason. But let me know what you guys are running, what kind of sense you guys are running, what's working for you. I am an Onyx player, so this is working for me right now. But yeah, I would just recommend, man, even, maybe you're just starting, I would even recommend just keep playing on default, man. It's really not a bad place to start. I think it's 2 and 5.5. This ain't a bad place at all to play. And everything else on default, just really fill it out, man. It might feel weird at first. A lot of people say it feels really, really weird, but I really don't think it's that weird. I was even playing on default for a little bit. It's not a bad place to play at all. Maybe just play on default forever, It's not really a bad thing. I think it feels pretty decent, to be honest, but I'm just a perfectionist, man. I gotta fine-tune my sense and my sensitivity, my settings, like it's a car or some shit. But yeah, other than that, man, just let me know if you guys have any questions. Hopefully I can help you guys. But this is what I'm running right now. It's what feels good to me. I don't really mess with my zoom levels. I don't think anything really in there feels too bad. But yeah, if you want more responsive out of your thumbsticks, I would lower your dead zones, hop in the firing range, just test them out, man. You don't have to throw it all the way down to 0. You can even cut them in half, somewhere below or higher. But I would come in the firing range just to see what they do, throw it all the way down to 0 and see how it feels to you, and then throw it all the way up to 15 and see how it feels. That way you can really feel the difference of what it's doing to your thumbsticks and what it's doing to your aim. And then you can kind of, be somewhere in the middle and adjust where it needs to be. But yeah, that's my best way to explain it, really. If you guys have any questions, let me know. But this is what I'm running right now. This is what feels really good to me. I know a lot of people can play with acceleration on. I just can't do it, man. I don't know why, but it feels so good to me when it's on 1, like as far as my accuracy. Um, but yeah, let me know how it's going for you guys. Let me know how you guys are enjoying Halo. I'm so glad they dropped this game, man. I'm having a ton of fun. It couldn't have happened at a better time, man. I love Halo. I used to play like Halo 2, all the older Halos. I'm so glad they're back, man. Let me